Sorry, just give me a moment. Okay. Meeting with Omar. I had a meeting this morning, and I understand that you wanted to make sure you had my attention. Just making sure I'm grounded. And messing with my electronics. So can we stop that now, please? Should I reboot my computer? And he's saying I should be okay. Okay. And if not, we will do that. So, okay. So, if you're not aware of who Omar is, background is when I met with Scott to record the podcast, I felt very aware of the energy entity that has been connected to Scott for the last 26 years. Saw him in the corner of my room here when Scott was sitting next to me here. And I was really just aware of like red, the color red energy, and just in my mind's eye, I don't see it with my physical eyes. And the name I got was Omar. Actually, I wanted to double check if that's or the right name that you want to go by. Okay, thank you. So I just got a yes. So this is me getting a yes, and this is what it looks like when I get a no. Um, yeah. And so all through my meeting this morning, Omar was messing with my stuff. So, which is fine. I understand that you're letting me know that you're here. You have overpowering electricity. Okay. And I'm going to do my best to share exactly what's coming through. I'm mainly doing this recording for Scott, but I'm hoping that we'll also be sharing this. So that's why I'm introducing him. So, okay. All right, Omar. And yeah, just in case I need to take notes. Okay. So you seemed ready to want to talk about some stuff. So yes, and thank you for the reminder. I did want and asked for my team to come in close and give me some thicker boundaries. And this isn't personal to you, Omar, but so that anybody who visits doesn't stay and their energy doesn't linger, because I don't want that. So is that something that you could please agree to? Gracias. Thank you. Okay. And let's see. Do you have any sort of ground rules? Very respectful, meaning you want me to be very respectful. Yeah. And he's saying I'm about himself. I'm pleased to be. Hold on, let me just write that down. Very respectful. You got it. And I understand why you would say that. And sorry, and you were saying that you're very pleased to be uh, with an audience who's listening. Okay. And can I ask for the same thing about being very respectful? Is that okay? Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Where should we begin? He's given me a visual as if we're sitting down at a table and we're about to start playing cards. That's funny. I card playing was a big thing to me as a kid, and especially shuffling. I know that sounds silly now, but anyway, but he's showing me kind of in that mode of doing something that I know I'm good at, and I really enjoy just the experience of doing it. So, and are you kind of equating that to these conversations? Totally get that. Yeah. Now, I experienced you there, but I'm not the other the other day, but now I'm kind of experiencing you over here, which is where everybody not in a body, more or less, is where I experience them. And yeah. Okay. And he's saying the left side is an opening. Okay. Yeah, and he's mentioning about not discriminate or no discrimination, not discrimination. And I am feeling very aware of not categorizing energies as good or bad or positive or negative so much, and seeing that 97% of everything is sort of in between those two extremes. And um, I am trying on this new awareness. And if you want to correct me, please. Um, about the idea that these sorts of attachments happen because vibrations match, and maybe loneliness or loneliness matters. Sorry. Let me just take a moment and make sure that we connect and there's a flow, because then I know I'm getting everything that you really want to communicate with me. And I don't see him over here. I don't actually physically see anything. Now, thank you. He's showing me a little bit of visual on the left side in my mind's eye. But I think it's just right now it just feels sort of out of habit that I'm looking to the left. But and it might even be better if I just keep my eyes closed. So, oh yeah, thank you. And I'm being reminded that there are times when I've used this eye mask and I get even more intense visuals. Like, not that this is an intense visual because it's not, but the flow of information is happening also visually, I guess. So, anyway, let's give it a try. I got this sense of like from him, like, aha, yeah, okay. Oh, we're playing rummy. Oh, I can see I've got a king, I think of diamonds, and a jack of spades, clubs. I can't remember. Oh, thank you. That's spades. So this is clubs. Thank you. Oh, maybe it doesn't matter. But the black one, yeah. And he's saying we're not so different. We're mingled. He's using the cards as an analogy. Yeah, I get that. And we're all playing the game of life or lives. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. And he's saying, I want to be, he's just letting the cat in. I want to be seen as a billboard for communication styles with, and he's kind of using air quotes, like the so-called darkest energies. Because we're not as sinister as you may think. Did I get that right? Okay. And I'm feeling aware to not be naive. And when I'm looking to check in with my actual spiritual team about, is this okay? I usually see Papa, my grandfather, like kind of back there and giving me a thumbs up. And I also want to feel very aware, and I feel like I want to say this for anybody else, that there could be like a trickster energy that impacts us. And that trickster energy could bring those visuals and disguise themselves as these other energies. And I'm feeling and knowing about that right now. So let me check in with my own higher self. So is that happening right now? Is that happening right now? You should tell me if it is. No. Okay. And is there any other protective measures? And I'm seeing sort of wrapping myself in this sort of thick cloud-like layer of energy protection. Yeah. And I'm just feeling, Omar, that I need to keep my own surfaces clear, meaning my energy body, because I have had some real deep connections that I wasn't even aware of. And I really don't want that. It just got cleared off, and I really want it to stay that way. So he's saying he can help me with that too. Okay. Well, thank you. That would be amazing. Yeah. And then there's something about transformation, getting some confirmation chills. A transformation through love and equity of all feelings, positive and negative. We all deserve unconditional love. Yeah. We all want and need love, he's saying. Yeah, I get that. Any other messages before we dive a little bit deeper into your connection with Scott? Any other words of wisdom? Okay. Yeah, he's going about Scott. Let's see. Let's begin This is what he's saying. Let's begin in the early days when Scott was a baby. Okay. Okay. So I'm getting that Scott's biological mom was schizophrenic also. Yeah. And she would see and hear things and it was out of control. She was a vessel through which many, no, he's using the term negative entities, settled and came through. And he's commenting that it's something related to DNA. Okay. Okay. Like some people are prone to be an excellent pianist. And now he's making like a penis joke. That's cute. Okay. And I'm feeling aware that even as he's doing that and keeping the mood a little bit lighter by bringing in humor and levity, like it also keeps the vibration of this conversation a little bit higher, which I'm appreciating. And I'm not feeling at all like I'm having to lower my energy to connect. Are you, and I'm not trying to flatter myself like my vibration is higher than yours or anything like that, but I'm just wondering, like, do you have to do something to your own energy to be able to talk to me? You have to lower your own vibration? Okay. You're at a higher level for speaking. Okay. So you adjust your vibration depending on who you're speaking with? Okay. Okay. Um, so you were saying about Scott. He was primed. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and the scope of his abilities as a medium and to do mediumship was wide open. There was a spectrum available at the beginning. And had he been put in the hands of um, a mediumship ability family, he might have turned this way rather than that. But it's inbred in him uh, to be. Now, he's saying holy, but he means like WHOLY, uh, covered with spirit. Spirits? Spirit. Wholly covered with spirit. What does that mean to be? If I could use the word completely so we don't get confused about the word holy, like wholly and completely covered in spirit. What does that even mean? To not have a life outside of a certain level of possession. Oh wow, I've never heard of that before. Is that a common thing? No. Okay. Just for okay, he's saying just as a special certain to mental illness. Okay. Like for a certain level of mental illness, certain people, excuse me, who have like the is that the word propensity? Propensity or like a DNA for it? Sorry, I'm not trying to be pesty. I'm just not clear on what you're saying. Can you say it a slightly different way, please? There are layers of majestic fiber that that contrast and constitute someone's abilities to access different realms within the universe we live. And now we must complete the cycle of lowering our vibrations to meet or not to meet other energy vibrations. And right now, I just want to say in the last sentence or two I got from him, I feel like I was finally able to click into this flow with him. So thank you, Omar, whatever it is that you just, if you just made some kind of adjustment, thank you, because that actually really helped. Sure. He's saying no problem. Thank you for listening. Of course. Something just dropped outside. Okay. Well, you like moving things physically, don't you? Okay. Yeah, I just got confirmation chills on that. It's entertaining. Yeah. It's also power and strength, right? Yeah. I got you. Well, and I want you to feel when we're meeting and, I don't want to tell you how to run your business with Scott, although, I mean, I really do want to, in certain ways, interfere with that relationship. But I mean it in a loving way for you both. Thank you. He's saying, I got that. Thank you. I appreciate you seeing my intentions and I do want to ask that if you could, and I don't know that, I mean, are you just somebody whose energy affects electronics? No. So you do that on purpose? Interesting. Now, when you say discipline, you mean like structure and discipline, or you mean like punishing? Sorry, which one do you mean, like punishing? Maybe sometimes. Okay, I gotcha. If somebody's not listening, okay. I say this with love. Those are not good boundaries. Okay. He's saying, I know, duh. All right. Well, look, and I don't know if I mean, all BS aside, Omar, I don't know if you're looking to have like respect, like, what was the word? To be very respectful in how you carry yourself, but like, just to be really authentic about it in my world, people's abilities to set boundaries that really work for them and to have those boundaries like, fully respected as much as possible. That's a huge part of being respectful in a relationship. I mean, it really is. And I have sucked at it at times plenty, and I'm continuing to learn. And I'm hoping that that might be part of your path too. Because if we really want to live in unconditional love, I think part of it is okay, well, I get the, thinking and behaving in accordance with somebody that we say that we love and them setting boundaries and us respecting it, even if we don't really like it. It doesn't matter if we like it. That's part of respect, and respect is part of love. Does that make sense? Do you agree with that statement? Not really. Okay, but he's saying, but I can believe it's true. Yeah. And he's showing me a visual of Scott in his home and how and I'm seeing your dad in particular, Scott, and how there's a way that when he knows you don't want him in your space, he doesn't go in. Like he might open the door a couple of inches. He makes sure he doesn't poke his head. Like I'm seeing how he shows respect to your boundaries. And maybe it took him time to learn that. Maybe it, I mean, I would think it takes all of us, but that's part of how he shows Scott love and respect. So, Omar, this could be something that could be an area of growth for you with Scott if you guys have this long-term connection, is that, yeah, or a sense of partnership is to understand what each of you needs, and then to learn about that. He's using the word learn, but to learn that about each other so that you can be respectful, right? Yeah. He's saying building better futures together. Totally. Totally. Yeah. And look, I also feel like what's just a natural thing to come up right now is also when we have violated people's boundaries, especially when we knew that we violated their boundaries, making an amends would be a really important way to have, yeah, he's bringing up fresh start. Absolutely. Okay. He's saying about himself, I can be part of that. Great. Okay. And this might be something that I help facilitate between you and Scott if that works for you guys. And it could be something you do on your own. You could let me know and see what works. Okay. And you're open to that, it seems. Very much so. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay. So you were starting to tell me, thank you, because I feel like I'm able to track. Oh, this is nice. Thank you, Omar. I'm having really positive experience with this interacting with you. So thank you. Okay. So we started talking about how Scott was like primed when he was born because of his DNA, that he is somebody who was, you know, born from this idea of being like wholly, I think you used a word kind of like covered. I didn't write it down, but if you want to give it to me again, is that the way you, I don't know that that's how you said it before, but he's saying wholly and completely shrouded in mediumship. So, and he's giving me a sense of there's like no filter. So Scott wouldn't have been able to tell who is like physically like in a body here or not because he was from if what you're show if I'm picking up correctly from what you're showing me, it looks like in his like infant stage even that there was a lot of activity going on, beings visiting. Yes, okay. And then it slowed down when he was about 3. Yeah, yeah. That came to a close. Started happening again at 9. Okay. Diagnosed at 11, full blown epilepsy. Schizophrenia. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Anything else you want to say about that? Excuse me, Owen. Oh, good. Okay. I'll have to do that later. Yeah, let me go and do not disturb. Right now, you're the most important person for me to be interacting with, and I don't want to be distracted. So, is it okay to call you a person? Yeah, he's saying, I'm an individual being. You are, clearly. Okay. Thank you. So just as I return to this visual about Scott being this child and Omar being around, I immediately got the word guardian again. And that word came up when Scott was here and we were talking. So, and look, I'm just asking for permission to be like, really authentic and honest. Um, he's saying the truth hurts, but it's still good pain. Okay. Okay. So, and not that I asked Scott for a lot of details about this, but my impression was that you have been around like this whole time since he can remember at 11. And I hear you about the guardian thing, and I'm not taking away from you may have had a lot of experiences where you have protected him from other, you know, he's saying more devious energies. Totally get that. But then there's also, I say this with love, kind of bullying him. That's the only word that is coming to mind in your own way. Really? He's saying, well, I had to have some fun. Okay. Okay. He's saying, look, it's not a continuum. It's like a place card. Here I'm standing trying to be my best. And I have this kid connection to somebody whom every bit of every bit of you, every bit of you seemed scary. Is that what you're saying? Masked, unmasked. Yeah, and I'm hearing ooga booga. And I know that's silly. It reminds me of my sister trying to be a bit scary. And I was hearing that with you kind of hanging around. But I even felt that from you that, like, oh, yeah, and I'm getting chills on this. Look, and maybe that's your style of humor and how you interact is this sort of larger than life energy that's a little like, oh yeah, like what the fuck are you going to do about it? Kind of thing. But that's some of it, right? Do you get that about your how your energy could come across? Yeah. You can say I'm being cowardly or we, people who experience you in a way that seems scary are being or feeling cowardly. I get that. I'm not taking away from that. I can see from your perspective why it would seem that way. But I'm getting the word harsh. Yeah, there's like a harshness to how you are portraying yourself. Is it your character? Okay, I see the word character. He's saying his character is not as soft as he would like it to be, nor is it gentle. But he can also be well meaning and have good intentions. Gotcha. I hear you. Okay. Okay. And he wants to circle back to the beginning with Scott. And Omar is saying about Scott, when I saw he was privy to being susceptible to these images with bad negative words and vibes. Omar saying like that he wanted to step in. Okay. Okay. And he's showing like even today how, and he's just giving this image of like, excuse me, the one I had when Scott was here of Omar and his energy is just like sitting in the corner, really not doing anything. He's just there. But you do understand, I'm getting some confirmation or I'm getting chills on this. So I just want to be clear that we're communicating. Whew, big chills. Okay, sorry. So do you want to explain why I'm having the experience of these big chills right now? I'm on to something. Okay, now I'm getting a muscle spasm in the calf of my right leg. Okay. So what are you saying that I'm on to? This negative image, like a looming presence. Yeah. And he's saying, I don't mean it to be as such um, all the time or anytime I feel like it. He's saying sometimes I'm just sitting there. Well, here's the thing. Is Scott just that much of a medium that he senses you all the time, like so clearly that he sees you? I think physically sees you, actually. So that would make him a physical medium. So is it that he's that tuned in that he can't help but see you, or are you making your presence known? He's saying a little of both. So you're saying that you can't help but have him see you. Okay. He sees everything around his energy block. Do you mean like his energy body? Or do you mean there's some kind of block going on? His energy area. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. He's saying about me, whereas to me, he's saying you don't see these things. I really don't. Sometimes I wish I could see more of who's around when people are visiting me because it's kind of frustrating and a little bit annoying to feel things and not know who or what it is. That's just me, but I would want to be able to turn it on and off. And I don't know that it's that easy to do that. I mean, I kind of that just as I say that, I realize, well, that's silly and possibly ridiculous to think that, but I would only want to be able to access that if I could turn it on and off myself. Yeah, and he's saying, and you're not really there yet. Yeah, I agree. Okay. But Scott is. Yeah. And now Omar's saying, so that makes Scott privy to anything and everything around. And his attention, sorry, he's bringing to my attention, Scott had talked about, and I'm getting confirmation chills on this. Scott had talked about seeing like, I want to say bugs or some kind of beings. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm seeing what looks a bit like these, almost like these large beetles with long legs. And they're all kind of around on the floor. Okay, he's saying these strange beings are of an alien species. Okay. And Scott can see into that realm too. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I guess Scott can see into many realms. And then he's saying he's not always interested. Yeah. Yeah. I bet. I mean, I don't know. I haven't asked Scott this, but I can only imagine based on talking to people, listening to stuff, and thinking of my own experience that there would be maybe a fear of, well, if I'm curious and I kind of keep walking down this path, I might completely lose touch with reality. I might get so lost in there I can't come back. Does that make sense to you? Do you think Scott has some of that fear going on? Most definitely. Sorry, most definitively. Yeah. Oh, I would totally feel that way. I mean, I have had my moments, but I mean, I don't really feel that way at all. But the thought has crossed my mind in that way of how that would be a thing for people. Maybe it's like when you haven't cried in a long time, and then, I mean, I'm sure it's different, but you're almost like you get this irrational fear of like never being able to stop. Yeah. And then he's showing like if Scott was doing, let's say, some kind of delving or trip or journey, and then I'm seeing like a bell and his mom ringing this bell. It feels related to like dinner's ready, and that Scott would snap out of it and go and eat dinner. Yeah, he's saying, but Scott, he doesn't realize that he could do that all the time. Yeah. So, what would you say? So, Scott better than, probably everybody except for maybe Scott, because you are privy to his thoughts and feelings all the time. So, what would you say he would find to be the biggest gift? Is this the right question? Okay, so there's self empowerment for him, and then a gift from you. Am I getting that right? Okay. So for self-empowerment, Omar is talking about emotional boundaries. Okay. And he's showing a visual of Scott saying to himself, I'm not, I'm not. Sorry, hold on. I'm not like here or there. I'm right here with myself. And just as I'm saying that and connecting with the energy of what Omar is giving to me, it's feeling to me like the idea of getting really present in my body and noticing um, like what I'm feeling physically or emotionally. So being really connected to myself in this moment. Which one? He's giving me a few comments, but I'm wondering which is. Let me just refresh my screen here. Okay, he's saying Scott's not quite ready. Am I getting that right? To want to journey with and for himself more than he already has. And he's saying about Scott that he's, like almost sick to death of this journey, this part of this journey, because he feels so out of control all the time, at certain times, at certain times. What 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 is happening when he feels out of control? Like what is he experiencing? Voices, commands, shouting, screaming, sirens, bugging. Wow. That sounds freaking awful. Yeah. And Omar's saying overstimulation. Yeah, but overstimulation from the inside. So that like internal world, that's, you can't wear noise canceling headphones and cut that out is the problem, right? Okay. Oh, and this is the part I think that Omar is going to address as the self-empowering. Anyway, I'll let you continue, please. Okay. So what he's showing is I'm seeing Scott sitting in his own room, like in his own space. He's by himself, and I see him pick up a pencil, like a pencil that's never been sharpened. And it's not the yellow kind, it's like the sort of light brownish, tannish type, full eraser. And he's holding the pencil and he's looking at the pencil. And my impression from this is he's just looking to be really present with that he's holding this pencil, what the pencil looks like. Maybe even I'm seeing he might even smell the pencil. He's looking at the eraser. And how he's saying it is that Scott is looking to share with himself that present moment only. Okay. And okay. And he's showing that as Scott brings more and more of his focus to this pencil, it seems like it like the noise that was in his head or whatever else was happening that was overstimulating is kind of sloughing off. Okay. And I'm seeing, so let's say I'm hearing the siren, like it feels like it's over here. I'm seeing Scott's like moving that out. And then he's showing like a school bus honking their horn kind of noise, and he's pushing that out, moving that out. And then the sound of his own breathing fills his ears more in that moment because these are things he's choosing uh, to place his focus on. Okay. So stimulus blocking. Okay. Yeah. And he's giving the analogy of like if I hear a dog barking here, or like I hear a crow right now, and sometimes my neighbor's bird just goes on and on and on. But if I can identify that sound and kind of push it away, I can be a lot less aware of it in the moment, even though it is physically happening outside of me. Not that it matters. With an experience in the way Scott experiences things, it doesn't matter if it's inside or outside. It's what he's experiencing, period. Yeah. Okay. I got that right. Okay. Okay. I gotcha. So stimulus blocking, pushing away and blocking. I just want to write that down. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Got it. Okay. And gift. Really? This is making me emotional to see what he's showing me and to be with it. So Omar showing that wherever the source of that sound is coming from, that he can push it a few steps further away from Scott to help Scott experience it less. Hence the title of guardian. Wow. Is this something that you've done before with Scott? Okay. Have you ever done that with anybody? You have with Scott's mother. Okay. And he's saying that she wouldn't admit it. Um, and nor might she even understand it. Do you still have a relationship with her? No. Okay. Once he's saying once I overheard about Scott being born, it overtook me to converge with him only. He's describing Scott's mother as like his old haunting ground kind of thing. Did you mean stomping ground? Sorry, are you trying to be kind of a little funny? Yeah, cheeky. Yeah, got it. Okay. Your old haunting ground. Gotcha. Okay. What is the relationship with this family? You're a part of that family? You were a long ago ancestor? Am I getting that right? Okay. And look, please don't take this the wrong way, but normally, and look, I hear you about the role of guardian. I don't want to take away from that, but then there's also all the negative that's come along with it too that Scott's experienced, and I can't step over that and pretend it didn't happen, right? Yeah, he's saying that would be unrealistic. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I'm seeing renegotiating boundaries of the relationship, which is has been part of my goal. So, it sounds like you're already offering. You're offering. Yeah. Okay, and he's saying steps. There are many steps. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And if we go by, thank you, my friend Margot, in changing things or increasing or decreasing things in with a sense of percentage, that's much easier to accomplish. Yeah, and he's saying with negotiating, it might be 30% increase, 50% decrease of this or that. And there's like this work that's in progress of change. Okay. I would guess, I don't know, that anything you do to be helpful and supportive would be appreciated. And I'm feeling aware in this very moment that meeting with the two of you, I didn't feel this animosity between you, although I'm sure Scott's had moments, I would assume, of feeling that way towards you. Yeah, and Omar is owning that when he's been mean, yeah, that he deserved those negative feelings from Scott because he was being mean. Yeah. Do you remember why in those moments you felt maybe a bit inspired to be mean? Boredness? Okay. Because Scott wouldn't talk to you? Okay. He's bringing up the words labels and boundaries. Yes, I'm right there with you. Um, and it's and I want to say it's ironic, but certainly not a coincidence that just this morning in a group that I was in, something came up about me and having this long standing resentment towards somebody that I feel has at times been extremely demanding of my energy and my attention. And I resent the crap out of that because you know what? That shit's mine. It's my energy. It's mine. People aren't entitled to that. Yeah, even the contract of marriage doesn't entitle my husband to all of my attention and energy just because he thinks he deserves it or feels like he deserves it or he wants it or he's lonely or bored, whatever it is. Like really. And his doesn't belong to me. I mean, I want it sometimes and I can take it for granted, but those things are his. That's his agency, his whatever that word is that I always forget. Sovereignty over himself is where he puts his attention and time and energy. Yeah. And I feel like you want to respect the sovereignty, if that's the right word, of Scott to have his own say of where he puts his attention and energy. And I'm sorry, but I don't think you like deserve that from him or you get to be demanding of it and expect it to go well, you know? Are you leaving? I see him shake my hand and then I see goodbye. Or are you showing me that you could do that with Scott? Okay, so I want to take a step back because I really want to understand where you're going with this, Omar. It may feel a little harsh for me to say that because it is about setting like a clear boundary. And I think you're just really not used to that. And I'm sure you're not going to like it because nobody likes having boundaries set that they have to then cope with. Like, I totally get that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So now he's showing a visual of like he and I are now like holding hands. So meaning to me, we're on the same team and we're connected. And I'm feeling some emotion like, you know, I'm coming from my heart here and I'm like talking to you in your heart, right? I mean, I really am. You do get that, right? Yeah. And he's saying he doesn't want to lose. What don't you want to lose? Scott's attention. Yeah. I hear you. But let's just try on that if Scott willingly gave you more, uh, the word positive attention is coming in. And look, when you're starving for attention, and I do understand this, when you're starving for attention, attention is attention. And it doesn't matter if it's from a place of annoyance or a place from being generous or joyful. I get that. But if from a place of love, you care about Scott's experience because that's part of loving somebody. Like healthy loving somebody is caring about their experience, and the impact you have on them. Does that make sense? So if you're coming from a place of caring about Scott, which clearly you care very much about him, that's very clear. You don't hang out with anybody for 26 years or 37 years because you don't like. I mean, I guess you could, but you're not, from what you've been sharing, you're not doing that. He's saying correct. Okay. So it feels like this natural next step for you to, yeah, discern like, oh, is Scott not wanting to interact with me? Okay. And dude, do something else. Just go do something else. Omar? Yeah, hobbies, I don't know, other interests. He's showing himself. This is so cute. That's a really adorable visual. He's showing himself taking a bath and he's using this ladle and he's glowing, not glowing, but he's very red. He's, how that's the color of his body in this visual, and that he's in this red liquid and he's taking this ladle and he's like pouring this red over himself. You could do that. You could also, do that. I'm seeing with, let's say, like yellow energy, like sun energy, or actually, yellow energy could also be very healing energy as well. Normally it looks kind of golden and sparkly, glittery-ish. That could be nice. maybe, Omar, and I say this, I'm going to see myself holding your hand again. Maybe it's just from a place of love within you that you're lonely and depressed and that you want Scott as your distraction. And I'm sorry, honey, but that's not fair to Scott. Yeah, he can't save you from your own emotional, you know, yeah, your own emotional waves or well-being or lack thereof. Even if you guys were like brothers on the earth together, that still wouldn't be his job. It would be your job. I mean, if you were little kids, maybe because you couldn't like self-regulate or learn, it would take you time to learn the skills to be able to do that. But you're sophisticated enough where, you could do some of this stuff. I'm just saying. Yes. And he's saying it behooves me to try. That I feel the yeah, like the gravity or enormity of that. Totally. Yeah. Just try. I think Scott would be, yeah. He's saying he thinks Scott would be proud of him. Yeah, I think so too. Maybe bigger. Maybe bigger. If we can turn it this way, is that you would feel proud of yourself. I know you loved Scott and you want this connection with him, but if we're looking at it like instead of being like a master, let's say overly like undifferentiated, if there was like a healthy level of separation would give you your own experience of yourself and him his own experience of himself, and then when two whole beings come together, separate but whole. Separate doesn't mean you have to be far apart. And separate doesn't mean you have to have a long distance between you, or a wide distance between you. It just means I experience myself as an individual. You experience yourself as an individual. There's something beautiful and empowering about that for everybody. Aw. And now he's showing himself in like a suit, and I'm seeing him with a white shirt, and he's got like a reddish tie, kind of like a whatever that color is called. It's like a deep blood red. It's a very nice color. And he's like straightening his tie, like as if somebody, who's dressed up is feeling proud of how he looks, and he's just straightening his tie, like, yeah, I'm looking pretty dapper. Totally, totally. For you to feel that way about yourself, your own vibration would be raising. And I bet you'd feel, even better in your own being. Who doesn't love that, man? Who wouldn't love that more and more? Seriously. I just had this moment of like, oh my God, Noelle, you're delusional. And he's, you're not delusional. I know I'm not. I know. Yeah. We are friends. We are friends. I, because you brought up about being very respectful, I asked about having boundaries and all of that stuff. And I feel like this conversation has been really like a positive conversation. And I don't want to use labels of positive or negative in some way that there's, judgment or hierarchy, or like as my friend jokingly said, I want to say more mindful than I am, but I also don't want to put myself down, which is a habit I'm working on not doing anymore. So we're all powerful beings when we step into that power and we exercise agency over ourselves and I love what you were saying about before, not energy body, but energy area, because it's bigger than like this or even just in this. It's like this whole space. It's my energy area, this room, this house, our property, this whole what I am able to pick up on, what I'm privy to. Yeah. Okay. I feel like we made a beautiful first step here. Yeah, with awareness. Yeah. And an action item. Yeah. Okay. So How are you doing right now about our conversation? He's saying, glad we've called it connection time and we've decided to improve some boundaries. Okay. And he's showing about this thing about moving these other energies a few steps away from Scott. Oh, I bet he's going to love that. Yeah. And Omar is saying that he will love being like that protective guardian over Scott more and more deeper. Yeah, for Scott's own for your own well-being, yeah, as well as for Scott's self-care and care. Okay. I mean, I don't think we should take on like big steps right now. I feel like this is a really good step. Does that feel right to you? Okay. Is there anything else you wanna bring up right now? Oh, okay. He wants me to share this. I wasn't going to say it because it might sound weird, but what I saw was him saying to me, I love you deeply, Noelle, um, because you're a good person. Well, look, I've learned too, and it's been hard fucking lessons, man, to exercise, more respectful boundaries and all of that stuff with people. So it's only coming from that that this is even possible. So thank you for the acknowledgement. And I'm feeling love and connection with you also, Omar. And I do want you to respect my boundaries, even when we're not meeting and even when we haven't talked about it. I really don't want necessarily to get surprise visits. And I don't do well with electronics. So if you're very like electricity moving, I'm not going to do well with you changing stuff that's happening because um, now then I'm like, oh crap, now I have to fix this. But I don't want to change you. I just want to have like, some mutual expectations and understandings is what I'm seeing from him. Absolutely. And look, we're going to talk again, you know. We could talk next week. Okay. Do you want to set that date? Sunday or Saturday? Looks like you were saying Saturday. Okay. Let me check my calendar. 2 o'clock next Saturday. Sorry, I'm in a group. Yeah, let me just check my other calendar. So it looks like it might be 10 o'clock next Saturday. Mm-hmm. You got it. Yeah, of course. I'm happy to. Okay. And yeah, I do want to make that a Zoom thing. And do you want to invite Scott to that? Okay. He's saying just us between us for now. Okay. Because we do want to have some meetings with Scott, of course. Yeah. Okay. And then he's saying we'll be renegotiating our boundaries later. Okay. Anything else? So Scott will be seeing this. Do you have anything else you want to say to Scott for right now? Oh, I'm sorry for not negotiating our boundaries together. Yeah. And he's saying to you, Scott, I'm sorry for, sorry, you were saying that. Now it looks like you're taking it back. Are you taking it back? I'm sorry for violating your personal space all the time, all the times, whether you're awake or sleeping. Yeah. Hmm. I bet he'll appreciate hearing that from you. You think? What do you think? Yeah, it's new news. Okay. So let's see how, this is a beautiful step in the right direction. Do you feel that way? Is there anything else you need to say to be complete? Well, thanks. He's saying you're gushing with love here. I can only imagine how much you love Scott and how that love is going to help you make these changes to have him feel very respected by you. Omar's just saying to me that he loves me wholly and completely, and that he's feeling hope, that this is giving him hope. I want to be very careful to not make this about me because I'm looking to be sober from being egoic. So if you could support me with that, I would really appreciate that. So it's not about me. I'm trying to be a good conduit for these things, really, and a facilitator of this kind of renegotiating patterns. So, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Deeply. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so he shows me a visual as if he can float up in the air. Who used to do this? There's a cartoon character that used to do this when he felt in love, is that he'd float up in the air and then his feet would sort of clap together. And he's saying that he loves renegotiating boundaries, boundary lines. Like it sounds silly, but it's to complete relationship bonds. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were gonna shake hands in this mind space, but I'm giving him a big warm hug. Yeah. Oh, and I can really feel your emotion right now, the intensity, or some of it at least. And I just want to thank you, Omar, for being willing to meet with me, and yeah, for I'm seeing the word supporting. Yeah, supporting this process. Yeah, I really want to learn from this and support a lot of people this way, and maybe you do too. He's saying he wants to set an example. Love that. Okay. Well, until next time, thank you. And I am going to ask you to leave my energy area if that's okay. Um, but this was wonderful, and I appreciate you very much. Yeah. He said, I appreciate you too. Okay. Tell Scott I love him to pieces. Okay. Well, and we're going to help Scott get back to a whole and complete being. So that pieces felt kind of ironic, but I'm sure you knew that. He's like way ahead of you, sister. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for allowing all of this. And oof, chills. Yeah, till next time.